Let the chaos reign. Chaos Reign presents With Power Comes Submission. Broadcast August the 9th, 2020. And this is a good one. So listen good. Enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, violence, murder, rape, death, and all forms of atrocities that plague the world in which we live in today, what you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos. And it'll take a greater, a more extreme chaos to restore the order in which the world we live in today. Good evening, black people. This is chaos here. Okay, Gary. And tonight, wait 1 second. I see somebody on the line. Let me take this. Sankofa?
Peace, Gary. What's up, man? It's Sankofa, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah. We had a discussion. I'm not really doing it tonight because I have a little different topic that I think is some importance. If you did notify the other brother and he agreed, you should have. I would appreciate it if you just call me so I could have set it up still. But I can't do it right now tonight.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna call for that. I was just supporting your show, man. But
oh, cool.
He
Okay.
said no. He said
okay.
No,
All right. Okay. All right. Well, this is what I'm gonna do. All right. Well, this. All right. I'm gonna probably have you. Can you call back? Like, hang up and call back on the queue so I can see the queue restructure. Can you do that?
All right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Tonight's subject, people. And let me find my description, my title. Okay, tonight's subject. Where is it? Oh, my fault. Chaos Reign presents With Power Comes Submission. Now, if y'all recall, on a old broadcast I had with Layer Movement in regards to this word submission, a lot of people was really going back and forth the first time I did a show like this. And I know, I get you, I understand, because when we talk about submission amongst men and women, especially the women in our communities, our sisters, it is a big issue to a lot of the men in this community as well, particularly the brothers. And nothing's wrong with submission. It's cool, you know. I think a lot of them think it's slavery, which, you know, that's another story. But, you know, I don't really go into that. But as you know, what I'm probably going to play after this little section I found on this nice book, which I'll tell you in a second, we as men, we got to understand, without no power, there is not really enough you get in anything in society, especially amongst the women in our communities. And a particular woman kind of, you know, shows a good example of this, per se, as something that we as men, we could probably learn from a little bit. But nonetheless, you know, power does not seek anything that will gain or give people, they have to pick to who they want to, insult amongst the men in their community, and know there is consequence for that. But before I go into the details, y'all know to find, or if you're not on Facebook, most of all episodes of Talk World Solutions you can find here on Facebook. So if you're not a like or a follower of Talk World Solutions on Facebook, don't be hesitant. Find us. We're on Facebook. And also, most of the live streams are on Facebook right now. And eventually we'll be crossing back over to YouTube very soon for a reason. Also, you can find the latest articles and news on talkrealsolutions.com. There you find the 3-point plan. You find the latest articles. You find the list of black banks And all the good stuff, including a donation piece, is all under the website. So, find talkrealsolutions.com, subscribe, to the website itself, and follow through what's going on. And also, these shows are being recorded, so eventually I will put them on my Chaos Rain channel very soon. So don't think that if you didn't catch it here, you'll catch it on my channel as well, besides on Talk Real Solutions on YouTube, which you should still subscribe to anyway once we're able to do live streams back up and running on the YouTube channel, But other than that's the little scoop and information for those that is wondering what happened to Talk Real Solutions. It's here. We're still here. You're going to have to probably find us in other sections throughout the digital space. So now, what I'm probably going to do is read a little. Let me see if this is how long is this? Okay. I'm just counting how many pages. Yeah, why not? I'll read the introduction. This is dealing with a section of the book or the introduction of this book titled The Beta Male Revolution. And this will I'll try to see if I can piece into the actual play I'm about to play for everybody to listen. So let's listen closely. This book is going to be departure from just about all of my previous ebooks, paperbooks, and audiobooks to date. In my previous books, my primary emphasis was on helping single heterosexual men improve their interpersonal communication skills with women, become better at verbal seduction, exotic dirty talk with women, and help men quickly and effectively identify the various forms of manipulative head games that many women tend to employ today's dating scene. Hold on a second, guys. Let me do this. Okay, I think it'll stop. Now, that's the first paragraph. And it's going to go into this so-called 28-year-old Caucasoid woman I'm going to play in a little bit. It's going to piece in together of why I really dealt with the power and submission piece. Let's continue. This book is more of a generalized, unscientific explanation of why strictly monogamous marriage used to be appealing for men and women when the concept of a strictly monogamous marriage has lost a lot of its previous appeal in today's society among both many men and women, and what my strong opinion is on the future of strictly monogamous marriage in the upcoming decades and centuries, which really only could deal with this century, because beyond after the 21st century and moving on to the next century, we don't know how people and how the earth is going to shape when the next century. I do not possess a doctorate degree in counseling, psychology, or relationships therapy, so do not expect any deep or deep intellectual analysis of any sort in this particular book. I am also not a professional historian or sociologist of any sort by trade, so a lot of my historical facts and assertions may be challenging at some point, or be perceived as being too general or too broad and not detailed or substantiate enough. I have no problems with that. This is a layman's book. I am going in attempt as much as possible to avoid multiple uses of polylistical language or polysymbolic language, and speak to you using very simple, easy to understand terminologies. In 2009, I was invited to teach at an adult education college course at Indiana University Northwest in my hometown of Gary, Indiana, entitled Dating for 21st Century Singles. The course lasted 6 weeks, and the length of each class was approximately 3 hours each. That's a long class. The woman who hired me told me at the time that I was the first person in the entire Indiana University college system to be hired to teach a course relating to dating, relationships, sex, and interpersonal communications between the genders that was not an official part of the gender studies department, the biology department, and the human sexuality of public health departments, the psychology department, and the social or sociology department. If that is indeed a true and valid distinction, then of course I feel very honored, and I feel like a pioneer of sort within the Indiana University college system. I graduated from the Indiana University with a BA in economics in 1992 with Dean List Scholar Honors, and I also complete 1 year of Indiana University Kelley School of Business full-time MBA program, but I never returned to complete my second year. In addition to currently being a book author and public speaker, I currently work as a professional men's dating coach. Thinking actor Will Smith character in 2005 romantic comedy Hitch, which I never watched, but that movie came out 15 years ago, which I think it was one of Will's pretty good movies. And I also work as a BDSM and polyamory lifestyle advisor and counsel for married and unmarried couples who are looking to transition from a traditional monogamous marriage or a romantic relationship to one that is openly polyamorous and or involved of a high degree of BDSM influenced erotic roleplay. One confession I will offer up front: when I read many reviews or paperbacks and Kindle ebooks on Amazon.com, some of the reviews has expressed criticism such as "save your money. This book is nothing more than a rehash of the author's previous freelance articles, blogs, posts, internet message boards, comments and reply comments, and podcast discussions and talking points. You can find all those on the internet for free." Critics will probably express similar comments regarding the new paperback of mine. A lot of content of this book is not representative of the new, fresh knowledge and wisdom from me. A lot of the content of this book comes from the affirmation dating from the 21st Century Singles course I taught at IU Northwest in 2009. Past freelance articles of mine from a men's dating advice column I had on the Examiner.com between August 2009 and June of 2015. Past discussions, topics from episodes of my talk radio podcast program on the Blog Talk Radio Show, internet radio show, networks, and a handful of blog articles that I have written and posted on my main website, directapproachdating.com, which y'all should check out. It's a pretty good website. Here is the reality of the world we live in today. Listen good. There are more men and women who are 35 years of age and older who had never been married and do not have any children than at any point in the time in the history of the United States. The guests on my talk radio show expressed in any episode a few years ago, this is the first time in history that there has been a significant higher number of unmarried women than married women in this country. Many heterosexual women in today's society are not married by choice, either because they have chosen to place more emphasis on their careers pursuit, or they just feel like marriage is simply not a priority for them. Then there are another group of women who still desire to get married and still hold out the hopes of finding Mr. Right, who will drop the one knee and propose to them, but their biological clock is ticking. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. Louder and louder. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. Well, each year they advance past the age of 35. The big 3-5. I know a few people that I know personally that's 35 and might have kids already or don't. Many men I have conversed with in the last 15 years who are as young as 18 and as old as their 50s have expressed to me that they have very little, if any, interest in getting married. Even many of the men who ideally would like to raise one or more children unseen to display a very low interest in entering into a strictly monogamous marriage with a woman. To be quite frank, as of the writing of this book, I would place myself in a category as well. And I am 53, which now he's now 57 years old now. And I have never proposed to a woman who has or who was a love interest of mine. Twice I did at least entertaining the thought of proposing to a girlfriend of mine. Once when I was 21 and second time years later when I was 46. But as time passes in both cases, I decided against it. And I have no regrets about the decisions I made in these cases. At this time, I'm also have no children that I know of, which he has a child coming right now in the second week of September. I did impregnate one of my former girlfriends, but she made a choice that she felt was conducive to have objectives at the time. One of the biggest factors that was lowered my interest in marriage over the years is simply that I do not believe in what I refer to as a obligatory monogamy. I only believe in what I refer to as natural or organic monogamy. What is the primary difference between the two types of monogamy? If you are currently married, engaged, or involved in a long-term boyfriend-girlfriend type romantic relationship, and you have pledged to your spouse, fiancé, or fiancé, boyfriend, girlfriend, that you have a strong desire to be faithfully monogamous for a long, indefinite period, but deep down you know you have engaged in sex with other partners during your marriage or relationship, i.e. you cheating or committing adultery behind your companion's back, or a minimal, you have come very, very close to cheating and still maintain an extremely strong temptation to do so, then that would represent that you are involved in a obligatory monogamous situation. In other words, obligatory monogamy represents when you do not want to be monogamous to your spouse or romantic companion, but you feel like you have to be or are supposed to be to maintain the interest and companionship of your spouse or romantic companion. Natural or organic monogamy could represent a situation where even if your spouse or romantic companion gave you permission to engage in sexual activities with people, you would voluntarily choose to maintain faithfully monogamous to your significant other indefinitely. Other than that, the long-term strictly monogamous cohabitations, relationships, and relationship between men and women, there are also a short-term monogamous relationship, what some refer to as being a serial monogamous, long-term non-monogamous, what most refer to as polyamory, and short-term non-monogamous, commonly referred to as being promiscuous. Ladies, there are some relationships that are not romantic or sexually in nature at all. We simply refer to those as purely platonic relationships or friendships. The reality is the 19th century and roughly the first 60 years of the 20th century, that strictly monogamous marriage models was the only one that was universally accepted and approved of publicly in this country, beginning with the 1960s and lasting until 2016, which is roughly 56 years. Yeah. There have now been a number of alternate romantic and sexual relationships that have become very popular among many men and women in society. This paperback will attempt to enlighten you as why many men have simply lost interest in ideas of entertaining into a strictly monogamous marriage or long-term romantic relationship with a woman, and to a lesser extent, why even more and more women are choosing to remain an eternal bachelorette throughout their entire adult life. I hope you enjoy this book and it's enlightened. And then, you go to the website and continue. Before I read this section, it's time now to play this audio. What you're going to listen to and witnessing is one Caucasoid woman that I guess she's a liberalist, left wing or right wing, whatever you want to call these type of wings, more like a chicken wing. And this is a European one. And mind you, some ladies could learn from this, which I know most sisters don't really pay attention to white women like that, in a way, because, amongst other women, especially when it comes to our sisters, they don't view these non-black women as competition per se, but it is, unfortunately. But that's another story. What you're going to listen now is a particular bra. It's going to talk about her views about men, not just the black men, but just men in general, including the Caucasoid white men. And I'll give some commentary.
What's up? I'm going to let you guys trickle in before I start talking because this is important. So, waiting for you guys to get here. So, normally I do final thoughts and I do Instagram lives and I do rants about politics. There's plenty to talk about in politics right now. Do it every day. It's a great time. But something, as of recently, has been on my mind. And I consider myself a teacher, a helper, someone who could possibly inspire people to be better. So, with that being said, this is a PSA for all the men out there and all the boys who think they're men, but they're actually boys. This is going to be the summer of canceling boys. Now, from my own personal experiences and the experiences of all of my friends, which range in age from 24 to 36, we've all got issues. Now, I will also say this. All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on. Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. And you have to start looking at that and thinking, if an age range of that many people, including myself, living really all over the country and being blonde, brunette, short hair, long hair, tan, super white, super pale. These women range in every body type and everything. They're all successful, they're all intelligent, they're all good people. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think, it might not be us. It might be you. It might be men. It might be men. Now, I've often talked about the pussification of America and how men are no longer men. I talk to my mom about this a lot, and she says, well, maybe it's...
To add on, what you listen to is this woman, and that's Miss Laren, if y'all know who this is, Tomi Laren, whatever her name is. It seemed to me as a man, you hang around a lot of single women that have no success with pretty much any man, especially men in their group or their culture. What you doing this video for what reason? I don't know. But let's continue.
Just the guys in Texas. Maybe it's just the guys in Los Angeles. Maybe it's just the guys. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and it's not. They're not any better in the Midwest. They, quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country. In the age range of about 20 to I think about 55, maybe even 60. A lot of men are trash. A lot of men don't know how to treat women. A lot of men don't know how to really, quite frankly, pull their heads out of the sand and pay attention. So I am going to help you. And these are some of the things that I've experienced, and these are some of the things my friends have experienced. I'm just going to lay a few things out. They haven't all happened to me. Some of them have just happened to my friends. A lot of them have happened to me. So the first thing, and I've made notes, by the way. I've made notes. This is how invested I am in this because I've been thinking about this for about 2 weeks solid now. First question for men. If you like a girl, if you're even somewhat interested in a girl, you need to ask yourself this question. Are you single? No, I don't mean are you kind of single, seeing 5 people, dating somebody, still kind of in a relationship, kind of broken up, kind of on again, off again, kind of married, kind of divorced. Are you actually single? That means single. You have nobody. You have no complications. You have no attachments. You are actually single. That is the first question, believe it or not, that needs to be asked. And ladies, you should be asking it because in 2020, it's not a given anymore that a guy that's actively pursuing you is actually single. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I think is very important that men don't seem to understand. There are very few women out there, and I'm speaking from personal experience as well as from all of my friends and all the women, quite frankly, that I talk to. There is not a woman out there that wants to be your pen pal. She doesn't want to get your texts, your good morning texts, your good night texts, your random through the day texts, if they don't follow up with a plan to actually, here's the kicker, in person, hang out. Now, I know what you're saying, oh, it's COVID, people can't hang out in person. This has not been a 4-month problem. This has been a 5-year problem that I've experienced with men and my friends have experienced with men. Women.
Well, the reason why you experience that, sweetie, is because you're not the prize. You're not the catch. I could tell by your voice and the way how you carry yourself, you sound like a real bitch. You sound too entitled. But that's how some Caucasoids act. And that's all, but that's some. To keep 100, So if you're just, having problems with certain men, not say certain men, that's saying what is really wrong with you, sweetie. Because the average woman that got a man and able to hold that man doesn't have these problems. I'm just saying.
Do not want a pen pal. We don't want a texting pal. We quite frankly don't care if you text us all day or if you don't text us at all. If you're not going to make a plan to actually see us in person, not interested. And if you do have a woman out there that just wants to be your pen pal, it's probably because she has a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or whatever. We don't want a pen pal. But that also leads me to my second point. This is me backwards for you guys. Make plans. Make a plan. Do not assume that you can text somebody randomly in the middle of the day, what are you doing? Or text them at midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or even just within hours of when you actually want to see them and think that they're going to be available. I personally, once I get home and I take my makeup off and I'm watching TV, I'm no longer interested. So if you didn't make a plan earlier in the day, or better yet, a day or 2 or 3 in advance, I'm not interested. I don't want to hang out anymore because that ship has sailed. Make a plan.
But Tony, you normally you got another man waiting on your DM, so you're not really concerned about an actual plan, Unless the man's paying for something, and you might have that issue where you want to tell to do it front, so you gotta make a plan. While in the background, so you're texting the next dude to really blow that back out. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Man, I want to hang out with you at this time. It doesn't have to even be a date. I want to see you at this time. Are you free at this time? Or when are you free? I will accommodate my schedule to see you. When are you free? I want to see you. I know it's not rocket science, but men of 2020, it seems like it's pretty difficult for you to figure out. And I'm not a feminist, so please don't take this as a feminist rant. I love men. I think men are great. I think men have failed themselves, and they've...
Actually, Tony, you love men that could do for you, actually. And most feminists say, you know, they want to still be somewhat in control, but still get the purse or the bag from the man. And baby girl or sweetie, it does not work like that. Especially the men that are, you know, what's the word, well established, that have serious resource, or, you know, the ones that's making are up in the top 10%, or even 5%. And this is what you said or assume that the men you deal with. And, you know, most men, yeah, they will entertain you with their time and energy to a degree, but usually at the end of the day, if you're not smashing, which you are smashing, they don't have nothing to do with you. I'm just keeping it real.
Failed us, and I'm just trying to help you out, because I think there are a lot of really great guys out there who need a little help, and I don't think that there are a lot of women that are stepping up and saying these things and not FaceTime me, I swear to God. Quite frankly, I don't think that there are a lot of women that aren't raging feminists, that don't look like Lena Dunham. They're saying these things to you, so I'm going to go ahead and say them because they need to be said. I am really so sick of my friends having to deal with trash men. I am tired of dealing with trash men, so I'm going to help you out. Make plans. So let's go through these lists again because I know y'all love a list. Number 1, are you single? Number 2, make a plan. Nobody wants a pen pal. We want to actually see you. If not, don't text us because it's a waste of our time and we don't want to see it on our phones. Got it? All right. Next thing. Value. Okay? Value. Take that in. Just repeat it to yourself until it makes sense. Okay. If you want to date a girl that has nothing going on, then that's fine. But please do not mix in people like me and my friends who have something going on with your other girls that have nothing going on. And by nothing going on, I mean this. There is no job that is unimportant. There is no job that's not valuable or that's not worthy. It is. But if you want to mix in people like me and people like my friends who are go-getters, who work really hard, who make their own money, who are talented, skilled, ambitious, please don't mix us in with the Tatianas. We don't want to be there. If that's what you want, find them. Please, for the love of God, do not mix us in with them because we don't want to be there. And quite
one question, because I know people want to call up a little bit. And number to call is 712-770-4160. Access code 915-411#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. The access code 915-411#. Tonight's subject, Chaos Reign presents, with power comes the submission. And I hope you sharing this on if you listen to me, Tyrone, if you have the Facebook up of this show, I'd like to get that notification. So please send it from my inbox, Tyrone, if you're listening, please. Thank you. Have you noticed that Miss Lauren is having her, what they want to call, or I should call it, her Karen moment? Have y'all noticed that? Is this the thing that I see a lot of black people posting on social media, YouTube, IG, etc., of when Caucasian women, non-black women, go out their way and run through a verbal tangent of what they can't attain or keep for themselves, or what they presume what they want? Have y'all noticed that, or just me? I'm just saying. Let's continue.
frankly, we take it as an insult if we find out that
and another thing, Tatianas. I guess she's talking about Latin women, the little mixed women, or Latin women that are white, because I hope Tommy is aware that a good portion of women that are Latin descent are actually white. They're not always mixed or the ones that look like black people. I hope she's aware of that. I'm just saying. But let's continue.
We're also talking to 5 Satyanas who have nothing going on. People like me and my friends are going to be insulted by that. And there's almost really no coming back from it. So if you want that kind of a girl, the kind of girl who's just kind of happy, going through the motions of life, not really super ambitious, hasn't really found herself yet, doesn't really have a whole lot going on other than she's pretty, please just go after them. And please do not mix us in. We don't want to be there. I promise you. So value. There's a lot of women out there that I know that are my good friends who have amazing jobs, who work really hard, but who can't seem to find a decent guy, even if they go up in age 5 to 10 to 15 years, because those guys all want to be with 21-year-olds who have nothing going on. It's very unfortunate. I don't think it's going to be fulfilling, but I would say to the men out there, try to maybe find a woman that you can talk to, communicate with, might actually have her shit together, might actually be ambitious and have something going on or want to have something going on. I don't care what she does. She doesn't have to be on TV. She doesn't have to be a PhD. She doesn't have to be a television producer. She doesn't have to own her own company, but be ambitious and have something going on. Those women are out.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me repeat that. Like I was saying, why would a man of means choose a woman of your age range and your character as a mate? And what I've heard that she was supposed to get married, and she kind of reneged on the marriage because she was proposed, and for some reason she didn't go through with the marriage. So why would a man even waste his time on that? A man could go find a nice 20-year-old or 21-year-old, whatever age she said that these men that's older are looking for, because they're much easier to deal with. They're not too programmed, allegedly. And, they got youth that a man that's older could work with on the average. So if you're a woman, just like Tomi Laren, that is now almost approaching what they call the wall, you don't have time. You don't have time. And this is one thing I want every woman, especially the sisters, to pay attention. Nor she's a white woman and she's going for her Karen moment. It's not something that you can learn from, sisters. So let's continue the audio.
Out there are going to be a lot more fulfilling to you. You're actually going to enjoy your time. And if you actually might want a sustainable and healthy and stable relationship, that's probably the kind of girl you're going to need to find. Not the Satyanas who just want to look cute and post Instagram stories. Now, I love a good Instagram story. Y'all know I do. I love a good boomerang. I love a good whatever. But if that's all you do, men, if that's all she does, probably, Houston, we have a problem. I'm just going to let you in on a little tip. The next thing on my list is this: consistency. It really does not help me or my friends or any woman in general if you are really cool and you're really interested when you first start talking to them, and then give it 3, 4, 5 days, and all of a sudden you're not consistent anymore. You don't make plans. You don't really care. You kind of fade in and out. You're talking to 5 other Satyanas. Consistency is important. Now, if you want to be inconsistent and you want to ghost and you want to fall off the radar, that's fine, but I'm going to give you a pro tip. People like me and people like my friends, we aren't going to really give a shit after that. We don't really care. The F's have been given and we're kind of done. I'll tell you this from personal experience. Once I'm turned off, I am turned off, and I don't care.
Yeah, if you're turned off, sweetie, but you could turn back on for that dude. So, like always, like most men, and I want young men to listen to us, we don't always go by what you say, sweetie. We always look and see what you're doing. Words are meaningless. You get me? It's always the action that counts. You talk about the consistency. You talk about the Tatyanas, and it tells me you have a very low self-worth of yourself. I did not know the Hispanic Caucasoid woman is giving you competition. Oh, Karen's jealous. Mm, 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 mm. It makes me wonder, was it with the European woman of America, the actually Western Caucasoid white woman today, that's separate from the Hispanic woman, same Hispanic woman that's also bred and raised here in America and probably came from another country that's here, different. It's just the culture, it's the vibe, the energy that a lot of these dudes flock to, including the European man / non-black man, the white man. Ain't that something? Isn't that something? And not only that, they could move and dance. They're much funner. And we all know the Hispanic woman, mostly the white ones, are no different than you because they do all the same sexual acts that a man loves. They'll give the head. They'll cook you nice rice and beans, some good pork chops, and ride your cock. And some of them have some good shape too, so they'll ride that man's cock and do all the nasty things, even doing anal activities too. So they're no different from you, sweetie, but the only thing is they'll do a little extra because now they have a little culture in them. They got that Latina spice. So this is the problem with a lot of the non-black women or the Eurocentric Caucasoid American white woman. She's going for a Karen moment, people, so don't mind that.
Anymore. Because at one point, I probably did care. At one point, my friends, they probably did care. They probably did like you because you expressed interest and maybe you were cool and maybe you were kind of fun to hang out with. But if you're not consistent and you fall off the radar, I give you maybe 1 to 2 chances to fix that because I'm a very direct communicator. Women, this is important. I will communicate to you. If your communication isn't great, I will let you know that. I will let you know that more effort is needed. But if you don't heed that warning and I have to warn you twice, I'm done at that point because I don't really care anymore. Now I'm done. Now I don't care. And I know my friends who are watching this are thinking and saying the same thing because we have these conversations on an almost daily basis. Once you turn us off, we don't care anymore. So let that be a warning to you. You're probably not going to circle back. They always come back. They always come back. But when you're ready to come back, I probably don't care anymore. So if you want to switch up, stay there. Pro tip. My last thing on my list is also very important. Don't be, excuse my language, don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch. If you have been failed and you lost a woman of value like myself or my friends, and then we don't really care anymore, don't be a bitch. Don't be butthurt. You did it to yourself. Okay? And it's no longer my problem. Now it's become a personal problem of yours. So don't be a bitch. And by the way, if I'm no longer interested because your effort is shitty, that's not me being a bitch. That's not me being difficult. That's me having a standard in which I expect from people. I do have high standards and high expectations. My friends have high standards and high expectations. Do you want to know why? We've worked for those. Okay? We work hard. We're successful. We take care of ourselves. We try to look cute. We have a desire to be something more each day. Okay? That's why we have the ability to be somewhat what you call difficult. It's not difficult. We just have a baseline standard. And if you can't meet that standard, that's okay. A lot of men cannot. But if you are one of those men out there, and I have them all over my DMs, sometimes I check them, and you guys are like, what would it take to be with someone like you? What would it take to be with your friends? What are girls like you? What are they looking for? I laid them out for you very simply there. In order to have a shot with a girl like me or girls like my friends, girls that are worth a damn, you don't really have to be Brad Pitt. You don't have to be famous. You don't even really have to make a lot of money or have a really fantastic job. You just have to be determined. You have to be in some way successful in that you want to attain some certain kind of success for yourself. You're driven. You have goals. You can handle a woman with standards. That's not going to turn you off. and you're going to put in the effort to be with somebody like myself or my friends. We deserve that. And we will not compromise our standards. I tell you this, it will be a cold day in hell when I chase a man. And I know that's the same thing for my friends as well. And if my friends are listening and they're thinking about chasing a man, please, for the love of God, do not. Because there is not one single man on planet Earth, okay, that is worth making any woman feel like she is not good enough. I don't care how hot a girl is, how smart, how successful, how rich. We have all dealt with men who treat us like we are not good enough. No, the problem is we are too enough, and you can't handle it. So, those are my checklists. Again, I will go through them for you one more time in case you are just tuning in. Number 1, are you single? No, really. 2, make plans. We don't want a pen pal. 3, value. Value someone who has value. Consistency. Be consistent. Don't be great and then fade out. And then don't fade out and then think that you're going to fade back in, because it ain't going to work. And last but not least, if all else fails, don't be a bitch. Hope you guys have all enjoyed my PSA, my Instagram Live. I love you all. I hope I gave you some valuable tips and advice. But hey, those are just my final thoughts from Nashville, Tennessee in my kitchen. God bless and take care.
So refreshing. Don't you love a camera moment? Don't you? I do love a camera moment. I know every person that's listening onto this and will listen to playback love that moment. That was so sweet. But unfortunately, sweetie, and I did say this on my old previous episodes here on T.R.S / my own podcast. When you're talking about women are the prize, I beg to differ. Now, depending how you look and what's your age, if men are approach you more than just a quick bang, then yes, you do not need to chase. If you're getting something and it's coming where at the end it becomes longer term. But if you're sitting there, a man is entertaining you and he just giving you the D, and then not calling you back, then that's where you are, and that's where it all lies, that you're just a booty call. So, in regards to that little garbage list she pulled out, real actual men, the ones that are, not simping or not what they call beta, which the two terms alpha and beta was mostly used, and I have to agree now that I found this particular piece that was created by Mr. Curry himself. That's what it is. And if you're a man that's beta, you always going to fall into the trick bag with a lot of women that tell you what they want from you, but they turn around for their actions. If you're not careful, they're doing something totally opposite. And I think Miss Tomi Laren, or Mrs. Tomi Laren, has come to a breaking point in her life, a midlife crisis, that danger zone, because she's getting older and up in age, that she's going to look back and the few decisions, even to the point to renege on a proposal by one mate. For what reason why she broke it off, we don't know. We don't care at this point. That other groups of men, regardless what you did on this IG Live, on your views of men, are going to look at you differently, Miss Lauren. Matter of fact, not just you, but any woman that comes out and pulls out that bullshit that you just put out about what you expect and see. Talking about your woman and your friends of high means. So if your friends are such high means and they're up there, why they can't snag an actual mate? I'll wait. A man that will sit there, be that provider and protector. And there are men out there that will provide and protect. But why you can't get an actual man or husband? And I know most sisters have the same issue as well. But overall, because I'm using this audio piece as an example. Why you can't snag a mate? If you're the stuff, that I want you to answer. Well, you can't answer that because you're too full of yourself. You think that your stuff don't stink. But today, sweetie, it does. And this is what I'm probably going to do better. And I found an audio clip by a brother that found something very interesting. Very interesting. And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to play it. Let me turn my speakers up. And mind you, I couldn't really convert this because I didn't really have time. But we work with it nonetheless. She made a very deep apology. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go.
Waiting for you all to join on in.
And this is by Mr. Samuels.
So I probably will answer some questions later on, but I have some things I need to go through first. All right. So for those of you the other night, I believe it was Monday night, who watched my PSA for Boyish Men, it has since gained a little bit of traction. I also posted it on Facebook, and I think it's sitting at about 1.5 million views right now. So obviously it picked up a little bit of talk, which is okay. Not like I'm not used to that. I'm very used to it. But I did want to clear a few things up about that video and just expand on it a little bit because that's always important. You can't ever say everything you want to say in 15 minutes. And I've heard a lot of comments on it, a lot of praise, a lot of criticism, so I figured I'd just go through some of them if y'all are ready. All right, so first of all, some of the misperceptions and misconceptions about some of the things I said in that video that I want to go through real quick. First and foremost, okay, I don't think all men are trash. And I also...
Now, what you're going to listen to Mr. Samuels give his response. Before he does, and Kevin's doing some good work right now. Y'all know who he is. Y'all can look him on YouTube. We kind of follow a lot of non-black people like that. But from what the brother's going to explain, this was recent, or she did this broadcast less than a week. Now, we never asked, why would she do a almost 15-minute live stream about men are trash? Now, I said earlier in the stream that she's having what we call a Karen moment. And I get it. I understand it. But it's just ridiculous where you are putting yourself on a live camera, which we already know this country already has an issue in regards to family building, all that stupid shit. Which I'm always saying stupid because in this Western Hemisphere we live in, we do not really take on the importance of family like that. And there is good reason for that because we are conditioned in this society to look even more amongst ourselves as to do things in an individual form where, we could kick it and stuff, but no paperwork should be filed in regards to something long-term. We got children, but, any day if I feel I'm in the mood that, this relationship is going sour or you want to have nothing to do with me, I can go off my merry way and I have to deal with my responsibilities. This is the culture we are now in the society in America, unfortunately. So I'm going to let Mr. Samuels give his response to this.
Want to again come in and shut this shit down. Tomi Laren is teaching black women a very valuable lesson. A very valuable lesson. What is that? You cannot just drag me in and get away with it. The point I made, and I have to keep toggling because people talk about echo. We're going to deal with the echo. The point I made is, notice Tommy's demeanor. Notice how she's coming in to fix this. She said all men are trash. That's what she said. All men are trash. She didn't edit anything. She doubled and tripled down. She was full of that because she didn't get any pushback Why? Because this playbook had worked in the black community for 50 years. But see, the white community, other communities, where they have family system, patriarchy, family values, if nothing else, they have seen what is happening in our community. What happens when you let this gender war take root? Men are pushing back, and they are shutting this crap down. Tomi Laren's got something to teach you. Think about it. This was going on in our community for 50 years. This didn't even get a week. She made a video on Monday, and on Thursday, she was back. She was moonwalking backwards like a mug.
That I made between boys and men. There is a big difference between boys and men. And I'm not talking about an age difference. I'm talking about a mentality difference. If you are a man and you watch that and you thought that I was calling you trash, I will apologize for that because I don't think all men are trash. I don't think any men are trash at all. I think that some boys who think that they are men have a tendency, shall we say, in 2020 to not quite act the right way. And I'm not saying that girls act the right way, mind you. Okay, this is an equal opportunity situation here, but I'm not a dude, in case you haven't noticed. I don't identify as a dude, I'm not a dude. So for me to do a video about how crappy women are in the dating scene, I really don't think I could offer you that much knowledge on it because I've never dated a girl yet. Okay?
But Tomi, you were saying for 14 minutes that men are trash. And you're not talking about boys because you're not distinguishing between the two. You were dead on point on what you were saying in that actual IG the first time. And we all know when people really intentional on what they really feel, they put their business throughout social media. They put it out through Twitter, IG, Facebook, YouTube. These are the platforms that people express what's on your mind, what you're thinking, what's up. You see it all the time, especially on Facebook. When you log in, it says, what's happening? One time in the past few years, it said, what's on your mind? And what do the Negro or the non-black do? They type in what's on their mind. There, I know what you're thinking. Gotcha. Gotcha. See how that works? So, Mr. Samuels, continue on what you were about to say.
Ladies, Tomi's got something to teach you. She said, I just made a video talking about how crappy it is dating men in the dating scene. But I'm not a dude. So stop asking me to talk about how bad it is being a man in the dating scene because I don't date him. See, she is teaching. She's got something to teach you, black women. When brothers or men start coming out talking about their experiences in the dating world, stop and you ask the same questions that she got from men. She said it. I'm a woman. I got to give it to you from a woman's standpoint. And I can't tell you what it's like to be you. I'm just telling you what it's like to be me. See, that will work in an environment where they're actually trying to keep families together, trying to keep relationships together. But see, people will come over to men or women in the black community, and the men will ask the women to talk about how bad y'all are. And the women will ask the men, talk about how bad you are. This is a college-level course. And ladies, what are you learning from Tomi? She came in running I'm strong, independent, don't need no man. I'm high value, and I got standards, and you don't chase no man. I ain't going to compete for no man. Don't do that. She should have been up there singing I Will Survive with Gloria Gaynor, and Beyonce could have been singing and dancing in the background. But they shut that crap down because they're trying to keep their family. They're trying to keep their relationships. And now she's out here in a softer, more gentle tone doing this.
So I can't help you there. I'm not saying that girls are perfect and men are awful or boys are awful. I'm not saying that, never would say that. I'm sure that there are many horrible girls out there that do many horrible things. I myself am not perfect. I acknowledge that. I'm happy to acknowledge it. So I wanted to clear that up. Men, I don't think you're trash. I happen to quite like men. And especially real men who act like men and who treat women the right way. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but I want to clear up some other misperceptions about the video, things that maybe you guys were confused about, so I can help you out. It was not in any way, shape, or form about my ex-fiance. Okay? My ex-fiance is a saint. My ex-fiance is a great individual, a great man, and the woman that ends up with him is going to be incredibly lucky because all the things that I bitched about in that video, he didn't do any of those things. He's a great guy. So I want to clear that up. It wasn't me being scorned about a broken off engagement. It wasn't me being scorned about a bad breakup. I haven't dated anybody in months. So it wasn't about that, and it wasn't about my ex-fiance. So I want to clear that up. If he's watching or his friends are watching, not about him.
Okay. I smell bull crap. That's not a story. But if your fiancé was such a great man, Miss Lauren, why do you call off the engagement? Why didn't you go through with the marriage at a point in your development in this stage of your life? And I'm not sure who's the man that engaged with this woman, this Karen. Why do you call it off? That should be the one question. Because all your little feminist talking points, your thinking, whatever you want to call it, has led you up to this point now in this stage of your life, which potentially you might be that lucky woman that potentially, and I say potentially, is going to die alone with probably no kids, but a whole bunch of animals and cats. This is the vibe I'm getting right now. And this is not just going towards Tomi, but also I see this in the future with a lot of our sisters with the same rhetoric and thinking. Unfortunately. But I'm going to let Kevin explain more onto this part.
So, if you're new to my channel, stop asking me all these questions. You're going to have to sit your butt down and pay attention. All you people with short attention spans, this is a place for people with intelligence and can think longer than 2 minutes. Where's the colorism part? Sit your ass down and listen. And if you can't wait until I tie it all together, leave. Like I said, this woman had to come back and say, first off, let me clear this up about Brad. Brad is a wonderful man. It ain't about Brad. Brad is, walks on water. And about Brad or his friends or anything else, she had to go apologize to white men because her money's on the line, black men. See, when you control the economy that your women work in, they have to worry about your image. This is why I say, brothers, we got to build vertical. As long as they're working for somebody else, they can tear up our image because they're going to work in their companies. We're going to get a little bit of everybody's going to get a God today. Because Tomi got to go back and clear up Brad because Brad and him came for her. And Brad and him can actually impose consequences. Black men, we can't impose any consequence on our women globally. Locally, yes. Globally, no. 4 days. Actually, it wasn't even 4 days. It happened inside of 4 hours. See, it's not where the colorism part. Like I told you 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's not your skin color, it's your attitude. She came in with the typical black girl attitude. Mm-hmm. Is that clear enough for you? Or do you need me to get you a picture book? You need to get the big Crayolas out? Is that clear enough for you now? She came in here with the typical black girl power playbook. Even though she's a conservative pundit, she tried to touch that liberal feminine stuff, and she got destroyed. So, understand something. If you go in the world talking like Tomi Laren does, sisters, and you think you get a bad response, and you say, well, it's because my dark skin. No. It's your attitude. It's the attitude more than anything else. Yes, it's always going to be a factor, but it's your attitude.
Now, the purpose of tonight's stream, without power, or power, with power will come submission. Or I should say, with power comes submission, yes. And one of the few things we lack as a community, especially as men, we don't have the actual power to instill reward and punishment within our group. Not just to our women, but just in general. And because of this, like the brother said, I thought it was 4 days, but it said less than 4 hours. So she did this within the next day, possibly, if I could find a timestamp, when she put out the first video about man trash to her apology. And I like to apologize to most people that listen to this because I couldn't find that actual apology to give a proper rundown because it's not there for the internet like that. So I had to find from others. And like I said, I used the Kevin Salmon one because this one brings it more home than all other outlets. That's the many people are content creators that's pulling out what Tomi Laren has been saying for the past week. And to be honest with you, she has to respect her man. Now, usually in our situation as a community, the best thing we could do as a people is to respect each other. At least. The women could have more better respect for the men, the brothers. At least. But as long as we continue with this little stupid gender war and all this nonsense, we're going to have these problems. See, within their culture and their communities, they can't afford to have this separation between them and the battle of sexes because they know that they will lose this already collapsing system that's predicated and structured for their self-preservation. But they sure as hell could put the same gender battle and use our women, and yes, some of the men that promote the lies to and tell lies to a lot of our sisters that you not do much to get a man. You can make them wait 60 days or longer before you give them some, nor that you have already one child already, or two, depending, And all these factors that will get you the man of your dreams. Hell, I heard some women tell me, say, I'm waiting for God to drop a man from the sky. This is how delusional a lot of our women are today. It's sad. And it's frightening to know that if you can't hear the truth from certain black men, who's going to tell you the actual truth? The Caucasoid? Oh, no. Even if he said it out his mouth, I don't think y'all would take it as serious. You won't consider it as the gospel, ladies. But I'm going to try to play the rest of this because I got one more thing to read, and then I'm eventually going to open up.
Another thing that I thought was kind of weird, because I read some media headlines about it, was that my video the other night was homophobic. You're going to have to explain that to me, how that video was homophobic. I don't think it was homophobic in the least. I can't even wrap my mind around how anyone say it was homophobic. That makes no sense to me. So if anybody got that impression, maybe rewatch it, because it certainly wasn't homophobic. But
got so much power.
Actually, to be honest with you, it's not really homophobic. So I'm not sure where they said that. And I listened to the live stream myself, as what y'all witnessed tonight when y'all listened to the actual 42-minute rant of Men Are Trash. But because a lot of non-black men still got to keep pushing their, certain agendas, and says she's talking bad about men, to their eyes, that is an insult to, and this is just me, this is what I got of it, to men that are heterosexual and are not heterosexual. But like I said, a person that said that, I could tell this man is living a double life, meaning that he's a bisexual man, but that's another story.
But I also, Brad got so much power and is so dope. He got her apologizing for shit that she didn't even say. We're trying to get our women to stop talking about stuff. We're just trying to get them to say the truth. Stop saying it. Y'all out here making babies all over the place when 51% of black men are single and childless. Y'all out here broke dusty when the facts are 64% of black men are in the middle class. See, the facts are on your side, brother. And far too many of the sisters that got this Tomi Laren kind of attitude won't even tell the truth. They're telling a lie. And we can't do nothing about it because you don't control the economies they work in. But when she goes out and tells a falsehood, a lie, stretches it, even exaggerates, Brad can come down and say, oh, no. Not only are you going to go back and make sure you put Brad back up on Mount Olympus, you're going to go apologize to the gays and the kittens. And matter of fact, who else do we need her to apologize to? The automobile dealers. Who else? The farmers, the airline association. We need you to apologize to the Major League Soccer, Boy Scouts of America, the junior colleges. We need you to apologize to the janitors in the elementary school, because if you don't, we'll take everything that you think is so great about you, that career you got, how great and wonderful you are, we'll take all of that. We'll take all that ish. Yeah, no more Fox, no more Blaze for you. We'll take all of it. And you'll just be an adjustable six blonde out here in the danger zone. Danger zone! Trying to get a husband. And instead, and when we take all that from you that we gave you, we gave it to you because we built it. When we take all of it from you, you won't be sitting around and talk about all that list stuff. You'll just be happy to get a man, period. See, you want cooperation and submission, you better be willing to pay the price, brother. That's why when I made that video, men should pay for everything and women should be hypergamous. Here it is. See, if you want this kind of behavior from a woman, you're going to have to pay the cost. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, another thing I like to say, that I'm not sure where this term 50-50 come from. This is some new foreign shit that Negroes invented. But that's my check. And this is just me now. If you go on a date with a dude and he can't pay for just for the date, I'm not sure why you're dealing with him no more. I don't have this problem, but I understand the frustration. I think a lot of women nowadays, they need to re-examine what they really actually look for. And they might have to cut off just the man looks good. That's not a really parameter nowadays to me, unfortunately, to hear that this is why most women in their selection of mates. And I'm convinced a lot of young girls that become women, are not very good at picking mates. That's why when a father's not involved in their daughter's development and even the mate selection, this is what happens. This is what we see that's going on amongst our communities overall. And if you and your mate are in a relationship, even go as far as marriage, obviously the man is going to provide and protect something, because you're going to have to work, brothers. And a lot of brothers going to work, Now, depending on how they provide, that's another story. But if you're not even pulling up your load or your end of the relationship as a man, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. And if you could pay 100%, that's great. But to me, it better be just as close to 100%. Just nuts. I prefer 90% or 80% if you can. Depending on where you're at. you could cover enough of the major bills just to keep her at a certain distance that you are providing something. But if you're not even at that direction in your life and paying under the percentage I say, then yeah, maybe you should not be in no fucking relationship. Maybe you should be pumping dumping, because really, if you can get a woman, actually that'd be one thing. But overall, this 50-50 thing that I'm hearing women, and I think it's only hearing black women talk about this, because I'm hearing the other men. No man really goes and says that they're paying 50-50 of anything. And it's know that if you talking about a dude that's paying 50-50, that tells me you only dealing with a dude that looks good. End the story. And sometimes the dude that you're attracted to, you mostly paying for these dates. Because I know damn sure he's not paying for no dates. Now that if I have to really think about it, and I'm probably going to go there, because 50-50, or say 25-75, which the men pay 25 and one pays 75 on the average, because that's what I hear every time I hear about we doing 50-50. And a woman said, I deal with a man that was doing 50-50. More like 25-75. I'm going to look at you side-eye that say, is this man, what he looks like? And he looks like, yeah, that's why. If he's attracting and appealing to you, that's why you're getting 50, or I should say 25-75. But that's just me. But all this 50-50 thing, this is a new type of crap. But let's continue.
I want to talk a little bit about a couple of the responses that I got, and once again, kind of just reinforcing my point here. So the kind of responses that I got from at least people that I know, males that I know, were two. First of all, most of the guys in my life, they either thought it was about them and it wasn't, and they apologized and they didn't need to, or I have friends of mine that I've never dated who are just dudes who messaged me and said, hey, this actually really helps me out, because it's a jungle out there, and sometimes men don't know how to act. They don't know what women want. They don't understand what they're doing wrong, which was the whole point of my video. It wasn't to give men a guide.
Hold on. Now, as y'all know, the doubling down is real. It is so real. Ain't no joke. But like I said before, and I'll say this again, when the going gets tough and there's some serious consequence, you will be put to yield at the end of the day. That's actual power. With actual real power, there is complete submission. So when I hear a lot of dudes and I hear a lot of women, especially in this community, somebody say they don't submit and all stuff, you damn sure do submit. Because if you have to work to provide for your necessity and bills and food, you're going to be submitted to some man or some institution, period. Hell, we all submit to some form of or the other. So I don't want to hear about this selective submission. You know what I'm saying? Right? The only reason, I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why brothers, when ladies hear that, when you talk about a submission, the reason why they give you so much pushback, and this is the honest truth, is because you're not you are not the man. You're not the representation of power or the representation of God. That's why they're hearing the word submission out your black mouth. It's going to be a form of oppression and slavery, because you are looked at as the devil, as evil, including herself. Now, a lot of brothers could change the definition or use a different word when talking to the average non-white woman, i.e. black women. But it doesn't change the fact that you are looked at as evil and you're not the power man at all. You raise your children to be servitudes to the system. It's gotten so bad and real where now I find certain women will create polls and have to sit there as the average population of women in this country, particularly non-white women, that would it be better to be under the authority of a race of people that have a history of oppression and subjugation than being under the rulership and power authority of non-white men, aka black men. This is where we at. But the only reason why a lot of them think like this because they don't see you in any position of power. They say they want you to take control, but at the end of the day, it's all bull crap. Remember, fellas, you go by what they're actually doing, not what they are saying to you. Keep that in mind.
Either thought it was about them and it wasn't, and they apologized and they didn't need to, or I had friends of mine that I've never act. They don't know what women want. They don't understand what they're doing wrong, which was the whole point of my video. It wasn't to give men a guide.
Now, there's what point I'm going to co-sign. I agree with her list. Let me go ahead and tell you why I agree with her list. Let me go ahead and read it to you again. You need to make sure you're single. Just tell the truth. You got situationships and married folks out there dating? No. Yeah, I agree. To be in my Facebook group, you got to announce your current status and what you're looking for. And if you're found to be false, all she said is, women don't want you to be text pals. Don't contact without plans. Yeah, I said it to the nth degree. CIA, you need to assert, men. If you aren't going to if you don't have a plan for a woman, how you doing, cutie? How you doing, sweetie? No, contact her with a plan. I'm going out to dinner. I'd love for you to attend with. I'm going out next Tuesday at 7. Will you be my guest? That's a yes or no. If she says no, you go. Somebody else. But the worst thing to do is contact what you want to do. What you want to do. That's weak. Making plans. But in order to make plans, you got to have plans. In order to have plans, you got to have a purpose and a life. One of the biggest problems we're having back and forth with women like this is they're outpacing men in social life. Women are far more active today. This is where, guys, you can do better. You need to have a life. But I get pushback when I tell you, if you don't have a life that requires you to wear a suit from time to time, you need a broader life. You need a suit. You need a dinner jacket. You need to put on a tuxedo at least once a year. Oh, man, I don't need no tuxedo. I don't need no suit. Okay, and you call yourself a grown man. Right. Be consistent. Don't ghost her. Well, Tommy, you're getting ghosted because you're shooting out of your league.
You hear that? And, it wouldn't hurt for a lot of brothers to invest in 1 or 2 suits. I don't think they're that expensive. But like I said, in this Western culture that we're under, a lot of us men, we like to still act and conduct ourselves like boys amongst other big groups or other men. And that will not cut it. But like I said, the older most black men get, anyway, it's better and required that you have these things, at least. And I know a lot of men that's going to go back and listen to this, they're going to probably get at me and say they didn't want to do that, or it says weaker. So I get you, but to really set yourself out of the tribe, you're going to have to present yourself in a more professional fashion, especially if you're going out in public in certain events, because first impressions is a key in my mind. So I agree with, certain things the brother said. Definitely.
Of things they already knew, it was to help you out in case there's some things you didn't, okay? Maybe men don't know that we like plans to be made. Maybe men don't know that consistency is important. Maybe men don't know that it's nice to be valued for what you bring to the table. Maybe some men don't know those things. Maybe they don't know how important communication is.
And notice that even when she's still trying to take her shots at men, she's doing it in a bubbly kind of, just maybe that she's not doing it in a teacher, you ain't crap kind of way. See, if this were flipped and the sister in this position was talking to men in her target area, it would be a completely different energy. Tomi got something to teach you folks.
Is. Men and women think differently. Totally understand that. So I got a lot of men that I know who are great guys who honestly messaged me and said, hey, this is helpful. It's nice to know how women think. It's nice to know how you and your friends think. I like you. I think you're a cool chick. So great pointers. And that, again, reinforces my point. That is the difference between a man and a boy. The men in my life that I've dated, met, gone out with, or I'm just friends with, they were really, they either laughed, they thought it was funny, or they were like, hey, cool, thanks for the heads up, okay? That's
a... Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels, for that. And it took me a while to find the actual double down piece from Miss Tomi Laren. But it goes back again, to like I said in the title of the show, with power comes actual submission. And I've contemplated this and thought about this good, but not from what she has said on her views on men, but overall, when I checked the pushback she gotten from the men in her society, in her group, and how she had to go back and reset, not only she said to her men, but every other organization that's, not into her conversation about men are trash, is telling of the position we as men, black men, could take and learn out of this. And a lot of women could learn out of this how they should deal and resolve certain issues amongst the men in their group. Because deep down inside, I'm keeping it 100, y'all. A lot of us are bred to act and conduct ourselves like non-black people, a.k.a. European people. Who's your daddy? Who's your teacher? Them. So if you are not them genetically, but otherwise in written word, spoken word, etc., you are a European person in blackface. Unless we're going to have a new culture where we are actually separate from them. But anywho, this is one of the last pieces. And if anybody wants to call in, you can call now, 712-770-4160, access code 915-411-pound. I repeat, 712-770-4160, access code 915-411-pound. Tonight's subject, Chaos Reign presents With Power Comes Submission. Now, this is off the same book, Beta Male Revolution. It deals with the preference and the appeal of alpha versus beta, males, and how this affects the ideal of monogamy and marriage. And let me see how long this is. I probably will. Let me see how far I get to this. For a lot of middle class and upper class folks, here is the proverbial scripture that many men and women look to adhere to. Number one, graduate from high school by no later than age of 18 years of age. Some people graduate at 17. Graduate from college by no later than of age of 24, which mostly the average age a decade ago, maybe 2. Well, it's roughly 21 or 22. Now it's kind of pushed to 25. Number 3, get engaged and married by no later than the age of 29, 35 years of age, and absolute latest. The man is the designated leader and breadwinner of the household, and he finds a job that earns him enough money to provide food, clothing, shelter, and transportation for his wife and children. The woman is the primary nurturer and nanny of the household, and after giving birth to one or more children, she makes sure the house is kept clean, organized, her husband and children receive not nutritious meals, and that the children have access to the highest quality of preschool, grade school, middle school, and high school. Education, and she makes sure that the children take care of their designated chores and homework assignments. Number 5, once their children graduate from college or graduate school and get married, then their household is considered an empty nest, and the married couple grows old together while enjoying the company of any grandchildren that are born until they both pass away one day. This script was the most part adhering to by many men and women beginning with the 18th century, if not prior, all the way up until roughly the first 6 years of the 20th century. There are at least a handful of couples who I know that follow chronologically point 1, 2, 3, and 4 fully throughout their lives and marriage. Even for those married couples, the choice to bypass college and university life and choose instead to enter the workforce immediately after high school, many of these couples still generally adhere to this life event script. Let's visit a hypothetical island for a moment. What if each and every woman in society firmly believes in only indulging in strictly monogamous sexual relationships with men? Would the benefit romantic relationship in society, or would that hurt romantic relationships in society? What if each of every woman in society believes it was okay and acceptable to engage in promiscuous and polyamorous sexual relationships with men? Would that benefit romantic relationships in society, or would that hurt romantic relationships in society? Well, Mr. Curry, what do you think? A lot of sucking and having sex has been engaged in very heavily now for some time now, for the last 15 or more years. But that's how I look at it. Imagine a scenario where a new social environment was formed with 1,000 single women who vary in age between as young as 18 and no older than 25. Also, you had a random selection of 1,000 single heterosexual men who varied in age between as young as 18 and no older than 39. Now, imagine each group met up on an island nicknamed Monogamy Island. And after a meet and greet function, each member of both genders were given the rules of the island. Rule 1, you cannot engage in oral sex, anal sex, and other vaginal intercourse with any member of the opposing sex for the very first time until you are officially declared as couple. Up with a chosen member of the opposite sex, every action by each man and woman on the island will be monitored by multiple security cameras as well as GPS-oriented microchip tracking device implant underneath the skin of each and every man and woman on the island. And this really goes into what ABC already knows, but I'm going to say this personally. This system, for anybody that's over the age of 45, they're not concerned about you, to what plans they want to function human beings move forward in the 21st century. If they're going to use nanotechnology and engrave you into technology through microchips or all this stuff, then that's the rule order in regards to see a society that's more machine oriented. You've seen the movies. You know what's going on, what is to come. Don't be afraid. Embrace it. Learn how to maneuver and understand this environment. That's the only advice I can give you. I do see a call. I'm going to take your call in 1 second. Let me just go through the few rules. Rule number 2. Once you are categorized as couple up with a chosen member of the opposite sex, you can only engage in sexual activities with that chosen companion and no one else for a minimum of 180 days. If you violate this rule prior to your 180th day deadline, your status will return to single and unattached again. And you will only be allowed to have sex with a member of the opposite sex that has also violated the 180-day rule, minimum for sexual monogamy. Rule number 3, every member of the opposite sex on the island will know when they interact with you exactly how many times you have violated Rule 2 and had your status changed from couple up to single and unattached again. Rule number 4, any man who impregnates a female companion must remain faithfully monogamous to that same companion until the day he passed away. If a man is caught even attempting to have sex with a woman who is not the mother of his children, he will be placed into an island prison and never be allowed to engage in sexual relationships with anyone for the remainder of his life. Ooh. Similar, any woman who is caught even attempt to have sex with a man who is not the biological father of her children will be paused into an island or placed into an island prison and never be allowed to engage in sexual relationships with anyone for the remainder of her life. Rule number 5, abortions are not allowed. Also, any incident of rape, date rape, and sexual assault are punishable by death. Rule number 6, no money is ever allowed to be exchanged on this island. All food, clothing, and shelter and transportation are provided for each of the selected members of this island. Rule number 7, the longest you can remain on the island without even or have been chosen to be someone's couple partner is 20 years. If no one has chosen you to be their exclusive romantic companion after a 20-year period, you will be booted off the island. Now you have read all 7 rules. If you fell into the appropriate age group for each gender, would you be motivated to take up residence on this island, especially if you were guaranteed never to experience any financial struggle or incidents of crime, violence, or poverty? And there are more in-depth, and before I read the in-depth of examination rule number 1 through 8, let me see who raised their hand. All right. Let me check my line.
Yeah, it's me. It's my. I called on another line. I just did that because I had to do another line. That's me, Gary. It's the line I about to hung up. I had to call on another line.
All right. What's up, Allfax? You know I don't like when you do that, but go ahead. What's up?
Well, no, I didn't want to interrupt your show, Gary. If I had called, you know what I'm saying?
All right. What's on your mind? What's good?
Well, no, since you know it's me, I'll let you finish and wait till you want to hear my response. Good topic, by the way. But
what response do you want to give? Because I'm doing a pause for a second.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Well, first of all, I definitely want to promote the debate show Friday night here on Talk Real Solutions. I finally got the 2 men to come about, and I'm definitely going to speak about your topic. But I definitely want to got the 2 men, Kenneth and Big J Triple S, has agreed to do a debate Friday night. It'll start at 9 o'clock. I'll do an hour introduction of the debate. I may have a pre-debate show Wednesday coming up here. I don't know yet. Before Friday. But the debate will start at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Time, West Coast Time. You Central Time people, it would definitely start at 8 o'clock at Mountain Time, That'll be what's that? 8. No, I'm sorry. Central Time will be Central Time will be at 8:00. Mountain Time will be 8, and then Pacific will definitely be at 7 time. So just check it out. But yeah, Gary, listen, man. That's amazing. I'm just tuning in when you went down to the list, so that's when I tuned in.
Oh wow, that means
these are the rules
not even the first hour.
Make Believe Island. Yeah, and the people are going to be going a lot of jail because I don't know, they just want monogamy. You got a rule, I don't know which one, but paraphrasing it says if you have sex with that woman, by the abortion, they said if a man raped you or by incest, you can have an abortion. So even that island says in some cases a woman can decide whether they're going to have it or not. It's up to her. It's her feelings. She may not want this to come out of her. That's one thing about the rule. But they said if you don't get married to a person in 20 years, you poot off the island. I don't know. They may think that's, but it's an island that there's going to be a lot of vaginas and penis inspections. How is anybody going to do that? You know, what if someone gets tired? No divorce. You can't marry nobody else. That's the complex about human beings. Unfortunately, people get together, and unfortunately, some people decide in a certain type of, thing involving their relationship, they decide to part ways. And that's the complexity. That society will never happen because you got to realize if the Catholic Church, people who are supposed to stay from sex, this has been tried out on many, many occasions. And it's not going to work. If you're going to have some people that's going to break the rules, always. So since you're going to have that, there's always going to be rumors of somebody going to be sleeping. There's going to be a lot of people sneaking away and having their little midnight snacks behind nobody. Some people are going to say, I'm going to try it out. That island says if you have sex one time, you got to be with the person for the rest of your life. Remember, that's rare. I think about probably 10%, probably the most religious sectors of Islam and India and things of that nature. I don't know. Well, and then they may have problems, but then those men, they may have multiple sexual partners, but those women, some may not. But about 10 to 15% of the people on earth will have only one sex partner for the rest of their life. And probably 95% of them are women. 95% of that 15%. Nature? I don't know. But I think that island has a lot of problems. Just look at the other religious sects, look at the other societies, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I think it's going to be a little complex. And I just want to know the leaders of this island, no money is going to be exchanged. Who's funding the island? Is it going to be are people going to grow their own crops? Or, is this...
All facts.
I'm just done, but that's all I got to say, man.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me just continue with this reading. And anybody else want to call in, the phone line is up and running, so I want my hearing for y'all. So let's continue. All right. Now, this is the examination of Rule 1. If this rule is rigid and forced, what problem do you see arising from this rule? The first question you would probably end up asking about, rule number 1, would be, is there a maximum length for the coupling up period if the female partner does not give birth to any children? 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, longer? Let's say here is no maximum period if the couple has no child born while they are together. What if one of the couples who reside monogamous island got along very well when they were not engaging in sexual activities. But sadly, the couple had very little, if any, sexual chemistry or compatibility. In contrast, what about if another couple that resides on the island has fantastic sexual chemistry and compatibility, but whenever they are not engaged in sexual activity, all they do is argue, argue, argue. Let's say Kevin and Kimberly are the couples who have exceptional non-sexual chemistry and compatible, but less than average sexual chemistry and compatibility. Then let us say Tyrone and Tanya are the couple who have frantically sexual chemistry and compatibility, but very disagreeable and highly argumentative, non-sexual chemistry and compatibility. After his sexual monogamy minimum of 180 days with Tanya has expired, Monogamy Island residents Tyrone ends up crossing paths with Kimberly, and later these two chose to couple up. Tyrone and Kimberly enjoy frantic and mind-blowing sex, but for Kimberly, her levels of non-sexual chemistry and compatibility with Tyrone is not nearly as enjoyable as it was with Kevin. Consequently, every now and then, Kimberly finds herself missing the flattering and entertaining nature of Kevin's accommodating personality and the non-sexual companionship. Similar, once Kimberly decides to break things off with Kevin and connect with Tyrone for the next 6 months, Kevin ends up socially interacting with Tyrone's former lover, Tanya, and after a dozen or more gets to know each other dates, Kevin and Tanya chose to couple up non-sexually. These two get along great. Tanya gets along with Kevin 10 times better than she did with Tyrone. These two have no argument or disagreement with each other. Who's ever unfortunate, Tanya finds herself reminiscing on the kinky and extremely enjoyable and satisfying sex she experienced with Tyrone. Quite frequently, despite the non-sexual difference and argument that she and Tyrone experienced with each other. Marinate on that scenario for a few minutes. Next, let's examine number 2, or rule 2. Despite having excellent non-sexual chemistry and compatibility with Kevin, Tanya reaches a point of sexual frustration that she simply cannot tolerate any longer. She ends up aggressively throwing herself at Tyrone and let him know that she wants to have sex with him behind Kevin's back, at least occasionally. Tyrone knows that given the high level of security monitoring with cameras all over the island, not to mention the GPS tracking device that has been implanted underneath their skin, these are referenced to as sexual interactions. And the censors, he would never be able to get away with engaging in sex with Tanya behind Kimberly's back without being caught by the Monogamy Island security personnel. Tyrone had no desire to return to the status of single and unattractive and be regulated to being limited to only being able to have sex with other sexual monogamy offenders. Ultimately, Tyrone rebuffs Tanya's sexual advance and chooses to remain monogamous with Kimberly until his 180-day minimum has expired. Now Tanya is extremely agitated and sexually frustrated. She still thoughtfully enjoys the companion of Kevin, non-sexual but sexually. Tanya still yearns for the erotical dominance and uninhibited sexual companionship of Tyrone. Tanya knows if she communicates this to Kevin openly, and honestly, there is a great chance that this will ruin her non-sexual chemistry and compatibility with Kevin. And Tanya decides to keep her unattainable lust for Tyrone, only knowing to herself and Tyrone. Over a period of weeks, Kimberly finds herself constantly whining and complaining about Tyrone's uncompromising dominant outside of the bedroom, and also his blatant lack of enthusiasm while engaging in conversation with her and spending time with her when the two are not engaged in sexual activities. But she is willing to tolerate it for the time being because he is providing her with what she feels is the kinkiest and most satisfying sex that she has ever experienced in her life. As you can surmise, both Kimberly and Tanya have reached a point of frustration in their relationship with Tyrone. And Kevin, respectively, one woman has a sexual problem in her relationship, and the other woman has a non-sexual problem. Marinate on this for a few minutes. And let me take this off first here. All right. Quick look at Rule 3. Because of Tyrone's ability to exercise a high degree of sexual self-control and realize the sexual advance of his former companion, Tanya, he can continue having sex with Kimberly for the next 6 months, and then after that he can couple up with the brand new female sex companion who might be a virgin. This is what keeps Tyrone motivated and self-disciplined. Kevin is the one who is in the dark. Kevin thought everything was great with Kimberly, but she chose to break things off with him and connect with Tyrone, leaving him confused and heartbroken. Right now, Kevin also believes everything is totally okay with Tanya but unbeknownst to him, Tanya is greatly missing the sexual companionship of Tyrone. And if Tanya was to be forthright with Kevin about the fact that she's missing the sexual companionship of Tyrone, how do you think Kevin would feel after finding this out? His ego would be deeply bruised, and for the second time in a row, he would experience a woman's breaking his heart. Tanya realized now that Kevin would become, so she chose to keep her undying lust for Tyrone to herself indefinitely. Think about Kevin's situation for a minute or two. Now let's move on to trickiest rule of all, Rule 4. Guess what? Tanya is now unexpectedly pregnant with Kevin's baby. Kevin is ecstatic. Kevin had wanted a child with Kimberly, but she always seemed to be reluctant to raise a family with Kevin. Now Kevin has the family he always wanted with Tanya, which means that bearing an unexpected miscarriage of some sort or on behalf of Tanya, Kevin and Tanya had to remain coupled up for life according to Monogamy Island rules. As to be expected, Tanya is full of every mixed emotion. Tanya loves Kevin, but if she is honest with herself, she loves Kevin more like a brother and a purely platonic friend, much more than she sees Kevin as a man who she wants to spend the rest of her life with, both sexually and non-sexually. If nothing else, for strictly sexual purpose, Tanya would very much prefer to be reunited with the former love Tyrone. Unlike Kevin, Tyrone has made sure he has taken every precaution to prevent himself from impregnating Kimberly. Tyrone enjoys having sex with Kimberly, but he knows deep down that he does not want to spend the remainder of his adult life with her. Tyrone wants to engage in a 180-day short-term monogamous sexual relationship with as many women on the island as possible can. Monogamy Island rules do not prevent Tyrone from becoming a serial monogamist. If you are a woman reading this paperback right now, can you relate to Tanya's situation? What about Kimberly's situation? If you are a man reading this paperback right now, whose situation resonates with you more, Tyrone's situation or Kevin? Unfortunate situation. Let's think about that or two. Examine ultra-sensitive nature of Rule 5. What if Tanya did not want to give birth to Kevin's son or daughter? What if Tanya does not want to feel forced to remain coupled up with Kevin for the rest of her life? Tanya did not plan to get pregnant. She wasn't simply careless when it came to using birth control and other methods. Regardless, on Monogamy Island, Tanya has no choice but to proceed with the pregnancy and give birth to Kevin's child. With the exception of it, she was to experience a very unexpected miscarriage of the child that would be considered beyond her control. Because of multiple security cameras, she cannot force herself to experience a miscarriage. Wow. If you are a woman reading this paperback, think long and hard of Tanya's predicament. Having you or a woman you know ever found herself in a similar situation with a man? Even want my male readers to examine this situation long as hard too. Have you ever impregnated a woman unexpectedly and you know deep down that you had no desire of spending the rest of your life with this woman and you had no desire even to raise a family with this woman? Marinate on that. We will now quickly examine Rule 6. Do you think Tanya would be more motivated to remain with Kevin if he were able to provide her with a much better quality of life than Tyrone would be able to, i.e., bigger living room or living quarters, more expensive material possessions, higher qualities of education for her children? This is something to consider. In this scenario on Monogamy Island, Kevin is unable to offer Tanya any lifestyle and overall quality of life that is any more appealing to her than Tyrone will be able to offer her. On Monogamy Island, every man and every woman have access to the same overall quality of life regarding living quarters, quality of food, material, possession, and transportation, and quality of education for the children. No one on the island is in possession of more wealth, more material possession, and more social status than anyone else. Think about that. For the time being, we will skip examining Rule 7 because it does not validate apply to Tyrone and Kimberly's situation, nor does it apply to Kevin and Tanya's situation. Now let us return to the real world. Imagine if the parallel to coupling up in Monogamy Island in the real world society was society heavily promoting the ideal of strictly monogamous marriage between men and women. A strictly monogamous marriage could very well work out for a man and woman who thoughtfully enjoy each other's company equally, both sexually and non-sexually, and both have a strong desire to raise children for a couple of this nature. The idea of a strictly monogamous marriage scenario does not present too many challenges or problems at all. The ideal situation between a man and a woman is what most people in society refer to as true romantic love. On the other hand, when you think of all of the Kevin types of the world, the Tyrone types of the world, the Kimberly's types of the world, and probably most importantly, the Tanya types of the world, the idea of a strictly monogamous marriage would appear to potentially create more problems than it solves, wouldn't you say? Remember, when I refer or refrain to Kevin as being in the dark, he had no clue that Kimberly broke things off with him because she was not feeling sexually satisfied with him. Similarly, Kevin has no clue that Tanya is also dissatisfied with his companionship sexually and want to reconnect with Tyrone. Kevin has no clue that Tanya has no real desire to give birth to his child. He is literally clueless. Before the days of the internet, many men who were Kevin type will remain clueless indefinitely. Then around 2000, 2001, and 2002, the creation of the internet message board and discussion forum geared towards men-only issues gave birth to a world of shattering information, knowledge, wisdom, and generally men dating advice. We refer to this world and share information and non-oriented wisdom as the manosphere. Dum 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 dum. And that's with a big M. Soon you had the Tyrone types shared their experience with women with the Kevin type guys like Kevin were like, oh my God, are you kidding me? The man who had experience similar to Kevin on Monogamy Island became enlightened but yet very angry, hurt, and frustrated. In the world of the manosphere, dum 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 dum, a man of Tyrone's persona and tendencies would be categorized as what is known as an alpha man or alpha male. A man of Kevin personality and tendency would be referred to as the beta male, which, the book is titled The Beta Male Revolution. And we all know the definition of revolution means a drastic, complete change to the old order, restoring to a new order. Generally speaking, an alpha male is a man who on the positive end is very confident, erotically dominant, uninhibited, and exceptionally skilled in the art of pleasing and satisfying women sexually. On the other hand, his controversial qualities are the fact that he is very egotistic to one degree or another, extremely uncompromising, and not enthusiastic about spending a significant amount of quality time with women in a non-physical, non-sexual, purely platonic manner. Alpha males are not known for being the exceptional, flattering type, entertaining types, or emotionally empathetical, supportive types. The vast majority of alpha males types are pretty self-absorbing. Conversely, the prototypical beta male is a man who, on the positive end, is much easier to get along with personality-wise than the average alpha male is. And more often than not, he tends to be much more financially responsible, self-sufficient, and many times wealthier than most of the alpha male types. Also, beta male types are usually very monogamous. Let me read that again. The beta male types, beta, B-A-T-A, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, are usually very monogamy-oriented and family-oriented. Well, hell, they should be because they're not getting enough coochie because they're beta. They usually want to find one good, loyal, and monogamous woman and raise a family with her. Let me see how much more. Okay. Sadly, one of the primary attributes about beta male types that is often perceived as unappealing in the eyes of women is that beta males have no real backbone and they present no real challenges to a woman's ego. In other words, women generally know that they can have their way with beta males and influence their behavior and dominate them, and they know they can get away with exhibiting behaviors that is spoiled and even somewhat disrespectful to a degree. Also, beta males do not possess nearly as much seductive charm nor as much raw sex appeal as the typical alpha male does. Their degrees of sexual prowess tends to be perceived as average at best, or sometimes even less than average. In the eyes of most women, with the possible exception of women who are virgins or sexually unexperienced, beta males are considered to be basic, conventionally, and vanilla in bed. Beta males tend to be more loving in bed, more gentle, and even a bit more submissive and accommodating sexually. If society was set up where it was absolutely mandatory that all men and women could only legally engage in sexual activities with one sex partner and one sex partner only for their entire adult lives, then the concept of a strictly monogamous marriage would have to be tolerated by the alpha male, much to their anger and frustration, but it only more than likely be to the general likings of the vast majority of beta male types. Just going to let that marinate for a second. When all that's realistic, this is not the case in the real world, especially in the 21st century dating scene. When it comes to women's desires for highly enjoyable and satisfying sexual companionship, and even more so if a woman has a strong preference for really kinky and raw animal-type sex, just about all women are going to prefer the sexual companionship of an alpha male over the beta male. Studies and surveys conducted with women about their most frequent entertainment sexual fantasies have revealed that just about all of the men who are heterosexual women fantasize about are men who are very alpha, incredibly masculine, extremely kinky, and unapologetically erotically dominant. The only woman who tends to be content with the sexual companionship of beta male types are women who are virgins or women who have only engaged in sexual activities with other beta male types. On the flip side, when it comes to women desires in accommodating, flattering, and entertaining non-sexual companionship and their desires to have a man provide them with some degree of financial assistance and support as well. As a high-quality, affluent lifestyle, the vast majority of women are always going to prefer the companionship of beta male types rather than alpha male types. Again, beta male types are also more known for being more family-oriented and monogamy-oriented than the average alpha male is. All right. Let me check this. Yeah, this is a long read. I'm going to stop right here. I'm not going to go into more depths of this book. I think people should buy the book themselves, to be honest. This is Mr. Curry, or Roger Curry, one of his latest books that came out now 3 years ago. I advise most people read it for themselves. Women should read this, and men should read this, or young males should read this as well. You can learn something from this man. Before I wrap this up, I was listening into a particular stream over the weekend, and one particular, I guess the man is considered MGTOW. He has a lot of issues between the common dating coach, man or woman in society, about them have to pay to understand actual game to how to attract and get the opposite sex. And through his own discussion with this other content creator, he feels in his mind, and this is what typical men that are considered betas in this book, that they should not have to work any hard to get the woman that they desire. They should not self-improve to a degree. They should not try to have a proper or learn how to communicate or be sociable. That's also talked about, I think, in this book as well. They feel they don't have to do all that stuff. They feel that a woman should come and approach them, give them the number, and eventually go to their place and have some raw, kinky sex. Now, mind you, as a man, it sounds nice and it sounds great in a very much perfect world, but we're not living in a perfect world. So for this particular man that is criticizing average dating coach, talking about they're scamming and not being honest, this is my thing with dating coach. And I'm going to say personally that dating coach in the 21st century, the way how we are now being socially engineered to be more antisocial and to function in a digitalized world with computers, hardwares, technology, coding, all that stuff. If you can't communicate with the average one and put yourself out there as a man, then I would advise you should spend some money if you're making that good money, especially if you're in tech and all these other firms, to really spend on money to better yourself, to build your confidence up. And like Mr. Curry said, and I listen, that he doesn't do miracles like that. His whole purpose is to get you confident so that it could break that psychological barrier or that psychological barrier you have of yourselves and why you think the way you do and what your real fears are. And one of the greatest fears a lot of men face now in the 21st century is the fear of rejection. I don't care if you find ways if you have to pay for the coochie and stuff, but the fear of rejection is one of the few things where a lot of men don't even make the attempt or initial move to truly get what they really want. Now, if you're being upfront and honest with a lot of women, sure, you're not going to get a lot of coochie. But I tell you one thing, it cuts off a lot of things that women will waste your time, man, if that's what you really want. If you look for relationships, you let it know upfront and personal with the woman. And if she say yay, then proceed. If not, keep pushing. But a lot of women nowadays, on the average, they will respect you being upfront honest. Now, in regards to who they like to decide to give the pussy at the end of the day, I'm not really too much concerned about that. Because if you're able to get into her pants without least effort and you have to pay for it, then kudos. All more power to you. But if you had to do a little bit more just to get into a woman's pants, either if she's wasting your time and you eventually get it, you pay what you get. At the end of the day, you have this dichotomy because women are able to make their own money and they are not moved or shifted by the societal norms, but are going to be punished by men that are running things in society, like Tomi Laren and her rant. You're going to have these problems as a man if you're that type of man that can get what you want with certain women. And to be honest with you, dudes, y'all should not be shooting for anything like 8s and 9s and 10s. And you're not able to communicate with women or much less even to get one of them. Try to shoot for the least resistance. especially if you're more inclined just to get in a woman's pants. That's the only short advice I'll give most young brothers. The one thing I don't want to find out in the society when it comes to black men is that you are hanging up the towel. You're not even putting the effort to really shoot your shot. All this antisocial behavior, you got to stop that, brothers. We got to stop that. It's not going to help you develop or make you be more sociable as a man throughout life. And in society, real wealth is built off how you're able to communicate, relationships, how sociable you are as a man. And if you're a man that just sit there, be very disconnected in the world you're living in, let's say you work and you go home and you don't do nothing else, we could do better and be more sociable. Now, I know we're living in a society now where we can't do much now because of this situation, which I know I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, you got to do something as a man. You have to put yourself out, shoot your shot. And overall, to my conclusion to this, the power and submission, brothers, we have to be in a power position. We have to work with other brothers. You're not going to escape this. The only reason why I played the Tomi Laren thing, it shows the power of the actual men that run society, that they will give reward and punishment, even including to their own women. And that's one thing, if you have not learned anything throughout this whole podcast, you learned that. So now, before I wrap up, I'm going to take last few calls and call it a day. All right. Let me start with first call. Hello? First caller, open your line.
Hey, what's going on, Gary?
Right,
yeah, I caught the audio at the probably the middle to the ending where you was playing this. I don't know if she was a white lady, and then you was making commenting. What? I didn't catch the whole thing. So what was she? What was her point of what she was saying?
The only thing I could tell you, because you didn't listen to the whole live stream or the podcast, to her mind, men are trash. And she went on her Karen rant. You get me?
Right. Oh, so she was going at men.
Yeah, she went for her little tantrum. But stay right there, Jay. Let me open my line. Open your line. Who's this?
Well, can I go on?
Oh, yeah. Before you say anything else, Jay?
Yeah, I just say that. I mean, again, it's real. I think is dangerous in all type of ways to generalize everybody in one pot. I mean, is she gonna be full on lesbian now, or she's not gonna deal with men, period, or what they call asexual, or just not be with any other being? You know, because you can't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, and you can't, you know, even if you had a bunch of bad experiences, doesn't mean that, you know, that's going to be forever. Everybody's not the same. So to say that, you know, even like men are trash or women are trash, I mean, the way we exist in this on this earth is through working together, you know, in different ways, and even at the very least is producing children. You know what I'm saying? So male attracts to women for the most part, and women attract to males. You know, I don't know. It's either you're gonna be transfer to a homosexual or lesbian or whatever category you want to be on another sex or the same sex because you're mad at the opposite, at the whole opposite. I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. Either way, I'll leave it there, bro.
All right, thank you, Jay. Thank you. My answer to that is, you know, we don't know how most women move nowadays. You know, she's not eating coochie, and I don't know what to say, but that's my opinion anyway. Anyway, is that you, Big J?
Yes.
Before you say something, Big J, how long you will listen to this stream? Because this is a very lengthy stream. I'm not sure when the time you listen.
No, I haven't been listening to the stream though, but I have listened to Tomi Laren's arguments on all weekend long.
Okay.
So I'm reversing what she's talking about.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me your insight.
First off, we got to stop with this. Oh, she's mad at women, mad at men, therefore she's gonna turn lesbian. Or if a guy has a problem with women, he's gonna turn gay. I wish y'all stop after that stupid argument. Y'all really don't understand how sexuality works. If y'all drawn to these conclusions. But let's really talk about Tomi Laren. Tomi Laren's problem with some of what she's saying is correct. I'm gonna start with what she's right about. When she talk about the three things: communication, don't be a pen pal. That whole issue with men need to stop being pen pals. Men need to start make sure that they're actually single and make sure they're more attentive to what the woman wants. Now those are three things I agree with Tomi Laren on. Here's where the fucked up part is at. The fucked up part is that she is using men are trash, but the thing is, if you're going to talk about how men are trash, then are you calling your ex-fiance who served in Iraq trash? Or are you talking about that nigga she had dated 2 years ago? Is he was trash? Or she talking about the boyfriend she had who working in Hollywood? Is he trash? I mean, she went through men, black and white. So for her to sit there, she been with some niggas now. Master P. I've seen her husband with Master P. I saw her hug up to Snoop Dogg a couple of times. See, not Snoop Dogg. What's the face? I've got it. Look. The thing is with her, and this is one thing she never talks about. It is that goddamn entitlement that a lot of women have. A lot of women have this entitlement to be shitty to men when they're in the teens and 20s, and then if they turn 30 and 40, they want to go back to these men who they shitted on earlier in life, and that's why when it comes on the men part of the issue, that's why you saw a lot of men reacting in such a way, because she's the type of woman that has shitted on the average guy coming up, but as that clock is quote unquote ticking, she want to go reverse, go 180, go right back to the guy she shitted on when he was 20, 21, 22, 3 years old, and that's why you saw a lot of men reacting online. How men are reacting to her conversation, to that piece. And I'm gonna say this too, though. I like how white men corrected her ass. See, it's one thing.
And they should.
And guess what they did? They forced her to walk that shit back. See, they made her walk all that bullshit she said. She has to walk that shit back. She has to apologize to her ex-boyfriend. They made her apologize to that black boyfriend she used to be hanging around. Them white boys made her apologize to every man she been with, because she did a video after she did that video, right? Chaos. She did a video right after that one. It was less than 24 hours. It was less than 24
hours. Okay, so this is my thing. And I was playing a piece because I couldn't find her doubling down. Because I found it on Mr. Samuel's channel, and I played that part.
Right.
And I'm thinking, look at the power these group of men have, where they will sit there and say, "Oh, you talking about us?" Now, if she was saying solely to, non-white men, this will not be an issue overall. But when she said men are trash, she was saying all the men, including the men in her culture, in her group. So, like anything of power, they went direct at her and hit her up, say, listen, bitch, we have two options. Either you make an apology, and not only you apologize, you're going to apologize for every organization, including what you just said, or we're just going to cancel you completely. So like any person, she had to sit there, double down quick. And this is the thing that I want a lot of brothers to understand about actual power that we don't have even in this country, besides globally, but here in America, that if you don't have that significant amount of power, the reason why women say and do to us is because of this. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of brothers could learn from this, and a lot of sisters can learn from this as well, how you should conduct yourself. And that's one thing, if anything, out of anything else that I got out of now a lot of brothers that was putting out this rebuttal, because it shows you that at the end of the day, you will be put back in your place, and you will put back in place very quickly. If not, there is consequences. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of our women don't understand and say, you live in a country right now where, there's no serious consequence. But outside America, try that dumb shit there. You know what I'm saying? Remember, try this with other groups of men. They will let you have it, and you will deal with the might and presence of actual power. That's why you look at the men today, Big J, from Nick Cannon's and all that stuff, because they know who the real boss is. You get me? You're going to double down quick. Or else.
No, she had to walk everything back. And this is to the women who call themselves divested and talk about they want to brag. Well, ladies, if y'all want this brag, some of these women who call themselves swirlers or pink pill or divested, I gotta say to these ladies, look, you want Brad so much, you want Chad and Brad so much, and Tom. Look what Tom did to his own woman. Look what they did to his own woman when she got out of pocket. What makes you think, in these pink pill women, these divested women, you talking about black men ain't shit, black men are broke? Well, Brad and Chad done something to one of their own women, and I like to say, this ain't no anti-black woman rant. This is I'm only saying it's directly to the pink pill divested community women. I'm only directly only to them and not to all black women. So I'll put that out there for Miss Lady. Look what they did to Tomi Laren. Do you think what do you think that they're going to do to you? If they did that to that white woman, what do you think that's going to do to you? And they don't sit there and get that yet. And there's one thing though I have to agree with Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels did that rebuttal. Look, men respect men, and that's something what these women don't seem to understand. Men respect other men. I don't care what. I mean, there is some type of respect between men, at some level, and they're not going to allow somebody to get out of pocket and run through the mud. And this is what black men should be learning, because they're sitting there giving Cynthia G and ammunition. They're giving Kristen Carazon ammunition. They're giving all these women, these divested women, these women who hate black men, ammunition. But they don't know shit about power. They don't know shit about goddamn power. They don't understand about. That's why I keep on talking about. You gotta stop being on level 1. You gotta start being on level 15 and level 20 and level 30, because see, some of y'all still on that basic bullshit about titty meats and complain about somebody's titty meat and yoga pants and hair weave and all that dumb shit that doesn't even fucking matter at the end of the day, because power. Power, we should be seeking power rather than seeking pussy. And the problem is, too many men in the quote-unquote black community want to seek favor from they believe power comes from pussy rather than power coming from their own intelligence and their own intelligence, their own talents, and their own quote unquote well-being. But they don't want to do that. So anyway, I said too much. I know I'm controversial. I know what I said is controversial, and people going to take what I said the wrong way. And I know somebody go misconstrued. I'll say this one more again. Somebody go misconstrued and say I mean this, and that, and third, whatever. I'm done.
In regards to you saying about these other women or men that's divesting from the community, my thing to say about that is, okay, good luck. That's nice. But if you're going to go over there, make your bed and line it and stay over there. Do not throw stones or try to look for other people to recruit because you think that you've made it to the promised land. You see, my thing with interracialism in America, and I'm keeping 100 for those listening, that it sounds good. It's a fantasy thing because overall, all other racial people groups stay within their groups. That's why you don't see them in mass numbers saying they want a black person, a nigger. I'm saying both a woman and a man on the average, you know. And a lot of people feel say because they have the liberty now to have sex, procreate with people without any prosecution. That's nothing really to be proud of, you know, because to be honest with you, when people want to remain and keep the power, they're going to still procreate and stay within their group. That's why you only see when you talk about women divesting for whatever reason, they're only going to get, if they could, is a very small percentage. It's not going to reach anything over 40%, 50%, even in the next 20 or 30 years, even probably less than that. And the reason why it is because by default, a lot of non-black people, European people, want to self-procreate and see their image. They want to keep the money in their communities. They don't want to sit there and stifle it by taking risks, procreating outside this community in numbers. The only time if black people are getting these type of people, they're getting the worst of the worst, the rejects of them, the ones that are they can't get no mate. Just there's red in the beta male revolution, you know. They're not getting the top tier.
I don't know about that though.
No. But BJ, I'm just telling you the real thing here. You know what I'm saying? That's why if you look at most European men when they see a brother get one of them, they always pay attention what type of Caucasoid they get. If they get the ones that they find appealing, that's a problem. If it's something that no man wants to even procreate or have nothing to do with, they say, oh, it's nothing. You know, just like how they want to do a white man gets a sister. Hold on, let me finish. They look at it and say, what type of sister they get? You get me? Is she a natural looking? Is she very thin? You know what I'm saying? She don't look too, voluptuous. She keep herself in shape. You know what I'm saying? And she has more of the Eurocentric features. They like that. You get me? Overall. So that's my only two pieces on that. Now, let me check the line. Okay, no one's the same. So I'm gonna let you have the last word. I'm gonna call this tonight.
I think what you're saying is a little bit outdated because that's not really what I'm seeing. So I'm afraid that you are a little bit. I'm gonna say a little bit outdated in that notion that how people are intermingling in the recent years. We have to be a little bit more fair with the analysis. But I'm not going to fight over it. Shit, it's just that I believe that you're not being a little bit fair in the analysis of it. But having said that, whatever, man. Let's move on to the next topic.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Big J, for calling in. Like always, appreciate your input. Hold on. And for those that are listening for the first or whatever time you listen to this podcast, at the end of the day, without no actual solidified power, there is no submission in our women in this community overall because, we don't really provide for women to work because a lot of women today still want to work or choose to work. So if we don't control that aspect, it's hard to inflict actual consequence. So the only thing the black man could do today is to attain whatever power they can. With the help of the internet now, we have black media. It might not be as strong as it is now, but it's a start. And this media is another way to push the image and debunk some of the myths about not only black male inferiority, but black excellence and power. So we are on the right track for now. So that's one thing I could be proud of. But other things, we're gonna get there. Trust me, we're gonna get there. But other than that, thank y'all for listening to tonight's stream. If you missed this, go back to the playback of this stream. Catch me on the next stream. It's probably gonna let you have some guests soon. Gonna look out for that. But that's it. So thank y'all for listening to tonight's stream. Until next time, take care and good night.
Thank you for listening to another broadcast. And like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChaosReign7. Thank you for listening. And until next time,